Welcome to Module 9. As you can see, we're starting out a little bit differently this time. I do not have a PowerPoint for you, as all of the information that you're going to need exists in these additional supplemental readings. So obviously you've clicked on this, you've started to watch this video. I want to make it abundantly clear that these documents are vital to your success for the graded or for the practice in the graded labs. And these documents are exactly the same as these. So there will be a second video that will better help to illustrate how to do the practice lab for exercise H part 2 as well as its graded lab. But for right now, we are diving into this exercise H part 1. You've already clicked on the video, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the reading so we can get the lecture portion started. So for exercise H, for part 1 and part 2, you will be dealing with all of this similar information, but I've broken it down into 2 different labs as there are slight differences in what exactly we are attempting to solve here. So let's start with figuring out exactly what a climograph is. Figure 1 is basically showing us what a climograph is, and it is a graphical representation of a location's basic climate. So really, this is something that I think we've seen before, but we can see the amount of precipitation in millimeters that is falling. We can see the temperature in Celsius. Some graphs may have this in Fahrenheit, so you definitely want to pay attention to this. And we can see the different months that exist. And so based off of where this location is, we're going to be able to determine how much rain is falling every month, as well as what the temperature is on a monthly basis, right? Starting with January, February, March, April, and so forth. And so this type of climograph is going to help, again, to display the type of climate or weather patterns that we are witnessing and seeing happening in a location over the course of a year. So you're going to have to be able to identify the differences here, read the information off of this graph, and answer some questions to best match data given to you in a chart with the correct climograph. Beyond that, as we are looking further into climate classifications, anytime you're doing this in the future, you are always or almost always going to be working with the Köppen climate classification system. So this is one of the most widely used climate classification systems. And again, it's good to know, who came up with it and since when it's been used. But really what this is going to do, it divides climate into 5 major groups. And that is going to be divided based off of, again, that precipitation as well as temperature patterns. And each group is subdivided and represented by various letters. So the 5 primary classes, which is the first letter, these letters are always going to be capital, represent each individual or major change in unique climate classification. So A represents a tropical climate, B represents dry, C temperate, D continental, and E is going to be polar. All climates except for those in the E group are assigned a second letter. And this is going to help indicate the precipitation that exists in this region. There are also third letters that are going to indicate temperature. And so this is more or less the guide to breaking down the types of weather and climate classifications that we can find on a map. And so that's what we're going to use figure 2 for. We are looking at the Eastern Hemisphere, right? So we're looking at the continent of Asia, Africa, down here, Southeast Asia, and Australia. Obviously, Europe is located in here too. And what we're going to do is jump back to using our ability to locate locations on the globe using longitude and latitudinal coordinates. So for example, if we need to determine the climate for something located at 30 degrees north and 90 degrees east, we first have to come down and figure out where exactly these locations are. So the super quick recap on that is we always start with our latitude first. So the latitude are the lines that running left and right, or I should say east and west. starting at our 0 point, our equator, we are going to find 30 degrees north. Right here we can see that we have 30 degrees north. And then from here we're going to have to find 90 degrees east. Again, we are starting at our 0 line, which runs right through here. This is the prime meridian, and we have to go 90 degrees east. And so using this map may be a little bit difficult to identify, so please take your time. Make sure that you can find where this location exists. So here we have 90 degrees east, we have our 30 degrees north, and where these lines intersect, it looks like the climate that you need to identify is going to be climate H. So that's exactly what this example is showing. But what does climate H mean? We're going to be able to scroll down and we have this giant legend that describes what each type of climate is showing us. And again, here you can see different examples of those first letters, right? The big first letters that are representing the 5 major climate zones. And then the additional letters that help to identify a level of precipitation as well as temperatures that can be found in these locations. So in essence, a big part of what you have to do for exercise, the first part of exercise H is going to be identifying and using your coordinate systems to identify locations on the globe. And figure out exactly what the climate classification is of these different locations. So in addition to locating these, you are going to have to come and use climate data tables. And this is what we are going to be using in conjunction with the climograph up here. So we talked about this, you know exactly what this is representing. And this is going to be the climate data that is going to help us to identify which graph is correct. So again, here we can see temperatures and how that temperature changes throughout the year, as well as precip, which I've shortened to precipitation, measured in millimeters. And so this information is what you're going to need in order to plot that onto other graphs so that you can see which ones are accurate. And what's also really important to note is that this can change based off of the hemispheres. So whether we're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, that is going to change when it is summer or winter. And so this is also marked on the actual exercise, but you can see that the hemisphere is written below each data table. So for the northern hemisphere, it's always going to say NH. And this will again be summarized when you get to the lab, but summer applies to the months of June through August, so June, July, August, and winter applies to December through February, December, January, February, and this only counts for the northern hemisphere, right? So this is what we are used to. We've already learned that this is reversed, so in the southern hemisphere, again, it's reversed. What we experience in the northern hemisphere is our summer. That is what they get as their winter. And again, it's reversed. So their winter is what we experience our summer. So it's important to pay attention to that, as well as always when we're looking at graphs, pay attention to the units, as this may change, units, whether it is Celsius or, whether rain might be measured in inches, or I should say whether precipitation is being measured in inches or millimeters. Just pay attention to keep an eye out for that when you're going through the graphs. And so this is more or less the first part. And jumping to the practice exercise, you can see that for part 1, this is part 1, when you are locating and identifying the climate classifications, you need to actually type those letters into your answer. So you want to only be using the letters. You do not want to use words like tropical or mesothermal. And that is pretty much what you need to do for the first part. And I want to make it clear that when you are identifying these locations, jumping all the way back to the modules, we've clicked on exercise H, the reading, the climate classifications. That is the page we just worked through. But in order to get the actual maps that are going to allow you to identify the classifications, that is going to be the next page. So when you come down to the bottom, as always, you're going to want to hit next, which brings us to this next page, And I want you only to use these climate maps to do your identification. It turns out that what I used to have students do is to use the map in the back of the book, but the maps are slightly different, so your answers will not match up. So do not do this, and only use the graphs that you can find on this classification. This is the one you're going to need in order to answer the questions for both the practice and the graded exams. And this part is referring more to part 2, which tune into the next video so that I can walk you through exactly how to do this as well. So again, preparing for practice, or part 1, exercise H, all you really need to know is A, how to use your latitude and longitudinal systems, as well as be able to read the information off of these graphs using the unique climate tables that will be attributed to each one of those. All right, give it a shot. Good luck.